Oh, now we're live.
That's right.
Golly.
Welcome to the board.
I
was trying to tell you that we got a new shirt, but the camera is not on us like that. So, and I've discovered that the plug to my microphone is dented. Now, really, I'm trying to kind of gingerly fix it, but wow, so it's just a slight dent, just enough to not be able to plug it in. So I figured I'd give it another try tonight. I'm guessing that someone ran over it. Well, it's really not it's so weird. It's really not an easy situation to begin with. I'm giving you a shot, Bob. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hold on a second. Oh. Anyway.
So I plugged it in and I forgot that I have to have earphones to make this microphone work.
Okay.
I can't even hear you.
You can't hear me?
No, I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you then.
Oh.
No, when the microphone's plugged in, if I don't have the earphones on, I can't hear anybody. It doesn't look like we have a big audience.
Well, okay.
I'm surprised because usually it's been kind of growing a little bit while we were doing these comic ones. And now it's kind of shrinking a little bit.
I'm sure it ebbs and flows.
Huh?
It's going to ebb and flow some.
No, I'm sure.
We have about right here.
Well, since we've got like 10 fans going, we probably can't hear you very well, bub. You gotta get right up here.
New shirt.
Hi.
A new t-shirt right now.
He's got a brand new T-shirt.
Yeah?
Yeah, brand new short too. What was that?
Jim Lee Wolverine picked it out himself.
And short. Short.
On some shorts.
Cool.
Want to market. Brand new store.
He went to Market Basket because we have a brand new Market Basket that just opened.
Share. We have share.
He's saying that we had chicken nuggets.
We share amongst and we share.
and we all shared them.
Okay.
Market Basket has. I don't know if you have a Market Basket. I don't know how far spread the chain is, but
Nope.
it's a big grocery store that you can get an ice cream cone while you shop, or there's fresh pizza, fresh sandwiches, fresh deli stuff, freshly made stuff, even Chinese food or whatever. So we grabbed a bag of chicken tempura and pretty much shared it. But apparently it impressed him. It was like friggin' 94 degrees, brand new blacktop. So I'm really thinking that the soles of my shoes are going to melt as I'm walking. It was really, really hot. Okay. Page 2, panel 2.
All right. Page 2, panel 2.
Clean up the rest of panel 1 later on.
Oh.
Let me pull up a reference here. And no, nobody will ever see the references. Because I'm just like that. You know, preemptively put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing.
That generally tends to help.
Well, depends on how your glasses are. You know, mine look like they're coated in paper towel crumbles and stuff.
Well,
I sent what?
When I wore glasses, if I didn't have them on, I couldn't see at all. It was just blur. So.
Mine tend to fog up. It's so weird, like, because my glasses are just readers, but they're. It's like if I put them in the case, they come out dirty. I can clean them and put them in the case, and they come out dirty. Did you watch that short?
No, but I think I've seen it before.
I hadn't. I hadn't even heard of it before, but I was watching Ask Chuck Dixon. And he mentioned it. Somebody asked him if his favorite Punisher was Tom Jane, Ray Stevenson, or John Bernthal. And he answered Thomas Jane. And I'm thinking, I guess it's all right that everybody ignored that Dolph Lundgren played the Punisher first. It's really odd. So they haven't gotten it right yet. They didn't choose the proper guy in the movie to play Jigsaw. I don't think Tom Jane was right for the Punisher. Like, he's fine as an actor or whatever, but he didn't look the part, and I knew he's a blonde that dyed his hair dark, so I just can't really get past that. That's kind of weird. So my feelings as far as the Punisher goes, and I'll, I guess, ask your opinion afterwards, is the story that Tom Jane had, the plot and the story that he had, was probably the best. The look that Ray Stevenson had was right out of a Tim Bradstreet comic of the Punisher. It definitely, I've seen pictures that Tim Bradstreet did of the Punisher that exactly fit Warzone, like the cover. And I think John Bernthal is the best guy actor-wise to play him, but he didn't exactly look the part, and they gave him this whiny, I want to whine about my past all the time shit. So they gave the right actor the role and didn't let him play the actual part. So if you put all three movies together, plot, look, and then actor, you might get one really good Punisher movie. How's that? How's that for an opinion?
That's an opinion. Makes sense. You know, they get certain parts right, and so if you can cherry pick afterward.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren's Punisher sucked all the way through, and it had Lou Gossett Jr. in it, so the bad guy didn't work for me. Dolph Lundgren didn't work for me, so he's like a naked dye job Frank Castle that lets cockroaches and rats crawl on him. Yeah, that didn't work for me at all. Yes, the dog is now named Chipper Ware. Yeah. What? Oh, yeah, Daddy Ware and Mama Ware. That's okay. Sounds like a sports clothes line.
Uh-huh.
So I need two references for this one because I have a specific base model, and a specific hand model. No, it's like cloak wearing model.
Oh.
Yes, next month, not next year. Dude, you're talking very, very much for someone that's not in here talking. I don't know how much you can hear of it, but
I could hear him talking.
yeah.
Something about next month, but he was saying next year.
Well, I said next month because he's saying next year, and he does that all the time.
Right.
Pretty much confuses next month for next year. What he's talking about is going back to school, summer school. He does these half days off, half days. Which is really weird because the last 2 or 3 weeks of school, he didn't want nothing to do with it. I'm like, what do you mean? Non-stop talk about school all the damn time. Now, could you hear me when I asked you if you could hear me?
As long as you only did it once.
What?
As long as you only asked once.
Nope, I asked you a couple of times.
Nope, I only heard it once.
That was when I switched over to the other microphone, but I didn't have the headphones. What are you reading?
Literally nothing.
Huh?
Literally nothing.
Oh, you look like you're looking down intent at reading something.
Oh, no. Just, no idea. Yeah, so we have a laundry room downstairs, and the dryer does not vent very well. So normally we'll open up the window because that'll let the heat out. And my son decided to do laundry today, which is awesome. But then he forgot to open the window, and my bedroom's above that, and the heat just goes up, and I'm dying of heat.
Were you super hot today?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, it was fine until the afternoon, and then, just when we're adding heat to the house, while it's just too much for the air conditioners. So while I've been working on writing stuff today, so it's not like I've done anything really physically taxing, I'm just drained of energy.
Well, you've been writing stuff today. What?
Well, I've been writing all day, but now I just feel like I've been sitting in the sauna forever, and I'm just tired. Oh, it'll get better as the evening goes on because it'll cool off, and once I figured out, it's like, did you forget to open up that window? Oh yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we should go do that. I also don't understand how in the world, like my dog has been asking to go outside more now than ever. Like she's supposed to lay out there and bake. I'm like, what is wrong with you, dog? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I can easily set up my fan so it's hitting me a little bit better. Well, did you decide to cancel Saturday's stream?
Yeah, because you said that you were not going to be able to.
Okay, I just
Then
that's
I
what I
was,
thought, but then
I
I
was
was
going to
like,
come back and ask you if that changed because you said something about not going.
right, but I was that minute long show that I ran for you.
What?
The minute before you got on stream when I turned it off. I basically I was like just saying that your power was fluctuating and that I thought we weren't going to be back there until Tuesday, and then you hopped on. And so then I was just worried that maybe I was wrong about Saturday.
Well, that depends. I mean, like I was saying, you were saying that you were going to be gone.
Yeah, and I think I am going to be gone.
All right. Well, you just need to let me know. That's all. Because like I was fine with canceling Saturdays so that you could do your thing, and then we have a Saturday to run around and do something here. You know.
Well, I don't. I think it's safer to cancel right now, just because, at least on my end.
What?
On my end, it's still in flux, so it's just easier to say, yeah, I'm not going to be available.
Well, I mean, I guess we could do an impromptu one if we needed to, but.
So, okay. I just know that even earlier this afternoon, the plans for this weekend and for next week were changing. And all right, whatever. Just let me know. And so far, sometimes we're just going to go and get them, and I'll be back. And sometimes they're going to stay in Ohio for a while. It's just all kinds of. It just depends on what they decide to do, which is the pain in the butt part. I'm just along for the ride. Ugh. So earlier today, I had a thought about how they could reboot Halloween. Since in the last film, they basically ground up Michael Myers. Like, it's pretty definitive. He's dead.
Oh, I don't know. They fucking burned him to a crisp before.
Yeah, but I thought of a way that would make sense. And really, what it is people, like when they talk about the third Halloween movie, they talk about how fans felt like they were ripped off because Michael Myers isn't in it, which is actually not completely true, but true enough. And I would still argue they don't really care about Michael Myers. They care about the shape. So that's what they really want, is the shape. And once you figure that out, then you realize it's actually not that hard to keep the series going. So I would say out of the three biggest slasher franchises, I figured it's probably Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th. And I could reboot at least 2 of those 3 now. I don't know why my brain drifts there, but definitely has recently. I just don't see anything really all that interesting about Jason Blake anymore.
Yeah, easy killer.
那早上是捏着。
What?
I'd say
Oh, you were saying something when you last started, so.
Yep. Okay.
And he says, yes, that's me. Absolutely no talking going on.
I was deep within thought.
I was just wondering, is there anybody in the chat?
Not right now. I was practicing my telepathy. Sometimes it's just a nice, chill, drawing stream.
Huh?
With happy little trees and little squirrels of doom.
What did you just say?
I said sometimes it's just a happy little drawing stream. Happy little trees and squirrels of doom.
That's what I thought you said. Squirrels of Doom.
Which would also be an amazing band name. Yes.
I guess it depends on what kind of music you listen to.
I think they could open up for Guar.
Well, since Guar is really not Guar anymore, yeah. I would leave that open for just about anybody. Sounds like one of those retro wannabe punk bands. But, to each their own. I don't know if I would, but what can I say? I had a band called Blow Me and Cheese, so.
Say bologna and cheese.
No, Blow Me and Cheese.
Oh, okay.
It was meant to sound like bologna and cheese, but
Okay.
that was never its true intention. one of these days I'll learn how to draw women.
Okay.
Don't hold your breath. Did you see the link I put in Slack?
No.
It's a different submission.
Yeah. Well, let me open it up.
Yeah, if the submissions window still opens, it said it. Like it was all blurry before, so it let me, or it looked like it let me post, but
Yeah. Okay.
it's calling for blind submissions. And they were like, don't intentionally put just a character in to represent anything.
Okay.
If you're going to write a gay character, write a gay character that's there because they're gay and they make sense, not just to check the box that you got a gay character in. I found that a little bit more heartening than what I've seen, It felt much more like they were saying, we want different voices of all sorts. We want true diversity. And by the way, I'm fine with that.
What?
I call for a little bit of everything, but not specifically throwing somebody in just to fill a box. So I was watching something today that was talking about Lucas finally letting his feelings show on what they've been doing with Disney.
Yeah.
He basically felt like that they were slave masters. Which was an interesting take, but it really implied that he regretted selling it, but he felt that when he sold it, he was 69, and he's like, it's going to take a decade at least to make these next 3 movies, and I don't know if I'll live to do those next 3 movies. So that's what his decision was for. But the guy that was, it advertises it like you're going to listen to what he says, but it's somebody, kind of showing clips of what he says at certain conventions. But that guy was pointing out that the 77 Star Wars special, or 78 or whatever Star Wars special, Christmas special,
Yeah.
was formerly the lowest rated anything.
Okay.
Lowest rated movie of any type. Which, until, guess what it was surpassed by?
Acolyte?
An Acolyte. I was going to send you a link, but I have been I'm so busy. So busy, and I feel like I'm not getting very much done for as busy as I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm doing this, and I keep needing to do some little touch-up stuff in between our streams.
Yeah.
And got writing, and then I'm researching stuff as I'm writing, and it's pretty hard to find detailed descriptions of what people were wearing in the 5th century or 6th century.
My son was asking me today about. He wanted to know what a tunic was. Or he wanted to know if I knew what a tunic was.
Yep.
And I'm like, yes, I know what a tunic is, and apparently I have a better grasp on it than he does. And it was kind of funny because he starts making these claims like if you make it out of metal, it becomes a breastplate or something. And I'm like, no, those are 2 different things. Those are 2 wildly different things.
I think he's confusing a tabard.
Well, that's what I kind of wondered too, but he didn't know what one was. And then he argued, after basically trying to imply that he was the expert on this stuff, then he backtracks and says that he doesn't really know what he's talking about, as if I didn't already know that.
Yeah, right. How do you say you don't know what you're talking about without saying you don't know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So, a tunic that, like I used to think it was either a short sleeve or like a chiton that you wore over, pants or something. But it's not. It's actually got sleeves.
Yeah.
Like most of them do anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose that there are some tunics that don't have sleeves, but it took me a long time to realize that they had sleeves because that's not what I was thinking. It was not in line with my thinking. So I can kind of understand where he's coming from, like not wanting to see it that way. But that's the same thing as like what I was just saying about the tabard. Tabards often get confused with jupons, which are not the same. Tabard is what you would see like a crusader wearing. A jupon is pretty much a coat that you wear over it. Are you like lighting a lighter or something?
No.
You're clicking something.
Okay. trying to think. Yeah, we do have a lighter in the house.
Huh?
I was trying to think if we even have a lighter in the house, but we do. It's downstairs. It's in the kitchen. I forget why we have a lighter, because we do.
Pilot lights and
I think it's mostly because the boys use it to burn trash. Ever since they limited us to 2 trash containers, it's like all the cardboard boxes and stuff that we get. It's just easier to burn them.
yeah, we recycle much as we can anyway.
I guess the lead actress for the Acolyte dropped some diss track, and it is it's bad.
Why am I shocked?
And I'm just like, why? Like, when you realize you're in a hole, you should stop digging. But no, let's just keep making this deeper.
Why did she release a track?
She felt like she was being attacked because of racism, because if you don't like the Acolyte, you're obviously a misogynist, racist, homophobe. And
That's the way to get them.
yeah, that's how you entice people. That's how you encourage people to enjoy your product, by threatening them. And she's complaining about, because there's a video clip of her talking about how the goal is to get white people to cry, and it's resurfaced because it's like from 2018 or something like that. And some people were trying to say it's her talking about Star Wars, which she was not, but she was talking about one of her projects.
Sorry. No.
No, I
I was
figured.
talking on the phone, so.
What's funny is, like, you muted yourself, and so then I just stopped talking because, like, you can't hear me, which I know you can. It's a dumb habit.
Yeah, I I mostly muted because I didn't want everyone to hear him talking about whatever he's talking about, which has little to do with what we're talking about, pretty sure. Do you have plans to continue this character?
Why? Do you want me to have plans to continue that character?
No, I want to know if you have plans to continue this character.
She's currently not that important.
Well, she's currently pretty important, but
Well, for this particular scene, she is.
so like when I ask if you have plans to continue this character, it's more like I want to know if should be hanging on to my reference material because I'm probably going to come back to it at some point. And yeah, she's not a direct important character, but it doesn't mean that she won't make another appearance.
Well, it's easy for her to do that.
Seems like she's a pretty useful character. And it doesn't really matter to me one way or the other, except for I have a lot of reference material for this character, and
Okay.
I don't know if I want to throw all that reference material away. But on the other hand, if I'm not going to be using it again for this character, then really I'm just taking up space with it. I don't have a whole lot of space. Sorry about that. Can't get to the mute very fast.
What?
I'm just thinking that I might want to plug my cooling pad in.
Okay.
Well, I told you it's been 90-some degrees here today. So.
Yeah.
And I just typed something to my coworker.
All right.
I don't know really what to call that person. Because really, it's like, here, dude.
So if you know how like people are saying Star Wars is dead and blah blah blah. Okay, let's say that it is.
You know, like that meme I sent you?
Yeah. So I know that it was Zack Snyder did Rebel Moon, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Which was basically, knockoff Star Wars. It was knockoff everything, to be honest. But hey, whatever. But I'm just trying to think about science fiction properties, expansive space opera science fiction properties. And, like there was like an emphasis on military sci-fi for so long for a lot of writers, I think, that I don't know. I don't see someplace other, like, I don't see some other product that can satisfy what Star Wars does or can.
Well, George Lucas was talking about that too. He's talking about the fact that nobody thinks of anything original in Hollywood. It's like this. Or you've never seen anything like this, but it's like this. Hold on a second, I gotta mute for a minute.
Okay. Although it's kind of funny to hear George Lucas sit there and talk about being original and he's following the hero's journey, or trying to, with the original Star Wars.
What?
Well, George Lucas, he's riffing off.
He tried to put as much Joseph Campbell into it.
Yeah, plus he also has he's got John Carter stuff that he's stealing from. He's got
everyone does. He stole from Dune, all kinds of stuff.
Right. So this idea that, no one thinks up anything original anymore, and it's like
no. I mean, he's not saying it that way. Okay. He's saying that Hollywood doesn't have an imagination.
Oh, okay.
He's not saying none of the writers that present stuff, can, find originality from their ass or whatever. And he's not saying that. He's saying that Hollywood doesn't have an originality. They don't know what to do with originality because they don't have any. So, I mean, I can see that. I'm not saying they used to surprise us once in a while. Like I thought, like I said, Godzilla -1 surprised me.
Yeah.
That wasn't really something I had seen done in that way before. So I mean, there is some originality with that. I mean, was it perfect? No. I mean, I don't think it was necessarily supposed to be perfect, right?
Okay.
It was supposed to be a story about imperfection, really. Could they have done certain things different and maybe better? Yeah, I mean they could have done that too. But overall, I mean, it was a really good movie, so I got no complaints overall. But in relation to what's been going on in Hollywood, like I said, the next thing they're doing is the Never-Ending Story, the remake. Well, that didn't need a remake either. It was actually probably better presented the way it was presented than how it will be presented today. Or in its day, however you want to say that. Yeah, I hope that that's not what's going to try to fill the gap.
What,
Rebel
never
Moon is not Star Wars, you know. And
I don't see. I just don't.
so
It's
I mean,
very weird.
What's that?
I don't know what it is about Star Wars. I mean, maybe it's just nostalgia. And I don't think it is. I really think Star Wars hits differently than any other IP. And I don't know exactly what it is, but I mean, okay, you think of it this way. Dune, as wonderful as Dune was, doesn't have that kind of energy that Star Wars does.
No, it's a different kind of story.
Well, yeah, I get it, but it's just, I mean, like, Dune at least tries to be something of a space opera, sort of. And I don't see, I don't know, like, I don't know if George Lucas got lucky, but I don't feel like any other properties are quite the same.
Well,
I don't know what it is. That's the problem. That's annoying. If I knew what it was, I could try to recreate it.
one of the things that he was saying is that nobody could sell that today. Nobody could sell an idea like that today because even in his day, and this is 77 or whatever.
All right.
Earlier, if you want to think about the filming of it versus the release of it. So when he went to the company, the producing company, whatever you want to call it, I can't. The words are not there today.
Yeah.
But when he went to, what was it, Universal? I don't remember what Star Wars went to. But anyway, when he went to, what's that?
20th Century Fox.
Okay. When he went to 20th Century Fox, he knew that they didn't have any imagination. That's what he was saying. So, and he knew he also could not explain what he was envisioning.
Yeah.
So what he did was hire his own artist. Because there was no look, there was nothing to show them, to explain to them, because there was nothing like Star Wars before, really. And that's what he was kind of trying to show them, is that, yeah, they had other stuff before, but they they had other science fiction stuff before Star Wars and right around Star Wars. But it was all, like, even Star Wars was low budget for that kind of movie. But they were all low budget, right? So it's kind of, he kind of was forward thinking. I guess what I'm trying to say is he was forward thinking as much as he knew that he couldn't explain how it was going to be different. He had the vision of how it was going to be different, but he couldn't explain how it was going to be different. So he hired an artist that, and I'm sure you've seen the Ian McHugh stuff, or which one of it was? I knew Greg. That artist called, Ralph McQuarrie. Called Drew Struzan in to help with the poster because he didn't like to draw people as much as he liked to draw, like, mechanics and droids and stuff like that. So he went to Tim and Greg Hildebrand to design the original poster, which the original poster is them, the Luke holding the lightsaber up above him and all that.
Right.
But, and that's part of the package to sell the what the fuck? Studio. That's what I'm trying to think of. It's part of the package to sell the studio, was to have all this stuff so they could show him Luke and Leia set out in that, regular pose with Darth Vader helmet behind it. Not regular. That triangular pose was pretty much created by Frazetta, but it was an effective pose for selling fantasy and fantasy elements.
Yeah.
So it was kind of brilliant of Lucas to do that. He went in with a game plan, knowing that they weren't gonna be able to see what he was seeing without him literally showing them. what he was seeing. So I thought that was interesting because I knew he had those artists working on him. I didn't know that that was all like pre-selling the story. You know what I mean? So he had his Darth Vader design, and he had his, Star Wars window kind of design. All that stuff that you see, he had that stuff because he had hired his own artist to do that ahead of time. And if he hadn't done that, they probably wouldn't have supported him. Nowadays, you can do AI cues and you can do all kinds of stuff, and you can get a very visual look, which is Rebel Moon does that in spades, right? Rebel Moon has a very visual, very cinematography out there look. It just doesn't have any substance. You find in part 2 that the bodyguard, spoiler alert, actually kills the princess that she's supposed to be guarding. So whatever sympathy you had for her, because she was, feeling guilty about her princess dying, kind of goes because she blew her away. She fucking shot her in the chest. A little girl. And they showed that too. So why did they have to show a little girl literally getting killed? That's one of those things that could have happened off screen. Could have showed the girl falling, but instead of showing her pointing the gun and shoot and whatever. Although, when she shot her, a glow came out, but,
Guess you got the glow.
Yeah, not like the Last Dragon.
Oh.
Because if so, that little girl would have killed everybody.
Show enough.
He's dead, sure enough.
Is he?
Yeah. Like, I didn't even realize he was in other things. I'm like, you should, but he was in Frisco County Junior. Junior with Bruce Campbell.
Oh.
I looked at him and it was like a Larry Fishburne, Cowboy Curtis moment. And I was like, wait a minute. I didn't know that.
Have you seen the trailer for Penguin?
For what?
The Penguin.
Penguin?
Yeah.
No.
From the last Batman film.
From the last Batman film? Like, The Batman?
Yeah. It's
Okay,
set after that movie. And it's centered around the Penguin. Or at least, that's how it's being marketed. Assuming that they don't do the whole
Joker.
Well, just the whole, we're going to say it's one thing, but it's really about a different character. Bait and switch type thing.
When you said that, the first thing I thought of was it's going to be like the fucking Joker.
The trailer gave me like a gritty, Miami Vice type feel almost. So I will be interested to watch it. And if it disappoints, well, it
Well,
happens.
surprise, surprise. You know, like, yeah. I don't know. Like, I was saying, like, the Batman for me, it it falls apart plot wise, but it's such an enjoyable watch that I don't care. I mean, I overcome that. It's not that I
Okay.
don't care. It's just I overcome those issues that I'm having with it. But there are definitely flaws for an investigator. That's the whole Batman's whole gig is he's a detective that is doing detective work that the cops can't do or won't do because they're corrupt. I understand that. I guess he's got to fail sometimes, but
Well, that was kind of one of the things that I enjoyed about that film was that Batman's still new enough that he's not just perfect, which I think is a story. That's a flaw when you have somebody who's just supposed to be perfect. So then, how does he miss things? So this one, he's allowed to miss things because he hasn't been doing it as long. And some
yeah, an excuse.
when except for like they leaned into it, like when he does that escape from the police station and ends up landing badly, which I thought was like that's great. Like he wouldn't always be good at all this stuff.
Yeah,
Like it
that's
should,
not the same thing as missing what the fucking murder weapon is.
yeah, except for it highlights because if you notice, it's a working man's tool, highly specialized
Don't
to
matter that in any police investigation, you're gonna have the murder weapon. You're gonna know what the murder weapon is, unless they took it with them, and he didn't take it with him. They should have no problem identifying what that is, especially because it wasn't even relevant until how many murders into it?
well, except for and again, I think what they're going for with this is that that all the police basically knew what it was, and it's one of those things where the cops didn't know how to necessarily see that it was a clue, and Batman because of his upbringing.
The whole entire police force didn't see that the murder weapon was a clue, and Batman didn't hunt down what that murder weapon was, didn't get that and all the information that he got. But yet, when they tell him it was a carpet kicker, he automatically knows what it was. What? Like, he automatically knows what it was for once they tell him that it was a carpet kicker. Oh, they hidden stuff underneath the carpet. And he knew which carpet, too. He didn't,
Yeah.
With all the misdirection and, like, the shit about his dad and all that being corrupt or whatever. Didn't even occur to him that it could be a different carpet that whatever, like it could be in Harvey Dent's home or whoever the guy that was murdered was at first. I don't know. It just there are plenty of places that flawed thinking, flawed logic could have popped up without making him look like an idiot that doesn't identify the murder weapon. That's just first step investigation stuff. And if he's going to be a detective, then and all this scanning stuff and all this, he's, yeah, this is the basics, which anybody could find online. Who, what, when, where, why, and how.
Yeah, but he knows. I mean, again, he recognizes. All right, that's the murder weapon. That's what was used. I mean,
He recognizes that's what was used, but
well, that's
not until the end does he figure out that it's a carpet kicker because a black and white, a regular cop, tells him
right.
because his brother-in-law did it, but none of the other cops, none of the other investigators, uh, Gordon doesn't tell him. Nobody tells him. Nobody fills him in on the basics of the case. Anyway, like I was saying, it was a good movie despite that. Like I got past that. I ignored it as far as watching the action goes and all the other stuff that was really good about it. And yeah, I could see him making mistakes and learning throughout the movie. That's not the problem. The problem is that that's not just a mistake. That's a basic mistake that, somebody that's getting into it because you don't feel anyone else is competent. Yeah. I don't think a detective would have their job that long if they didn't figure that shit out. In reality. My reference isn't big enough. Huh. Oh, that doesn't do any good.
what?
I was like, we're talking about all this shit, and Princess Leia starts off with a hood on. Then I went and looked, and like, yeah, her hood doesn't cover her earbuds. I'm looking for something very specific, and I got some pretty good reference material so far, you can tell, but I think that's probably what I was looking for. Let's see if that's picking up. Yeah, it's simple reference, but has to make sense.
Yeah. Did you ever see the movie Jumper?
Yep.
What did you think about it?
Have you ever read the book Jumper?
Nope.
Well, then I liked it. I liked some of the changes they put into the movie from the book, like the Paladins. And,
Okay.
but I also like the original when he's jumping. The first time he jumps away from the abusive father. But yeah, I mean, I like the movie. I think Hayden Christensen was kind of screwed at that point.
Okay.
Like he got a bad rap. George Lucas is known for working with rarely used actors or newly minted actors, I guess you could call it. And when you play pre-Darth Vader and it ends up being a badly written romance. Darth Vader's shoes were tough shoes to follow, so I think as an actor he got a bad rap out of it. But I thought he did good in Jumper, but I thought he was kind of overshadowed by that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It didn't quite get the credit it deserved. Just don't ask me about the author.
Okay.
What did you think about it? I mean, you opened it up for something.
Well, I thought I enjoyed the film. Um, and yeah, I kind of think Hayden Christensen kind of got, I don't know. I mean, I think he was bad in the role or anything. I just kind of felt like they were trying to set something up that they didn't quite know how to do, and
I kind of felt like they were trying to mix the story jumper from the book with The Fugitive,
okay,
just because of the way that Samuel Jackson played and gave chase, and
right.
just the way his attitude was. I don't know how close Jumper was to the remake of The Fugitive, but it'd be interesting now looking back, thinking about that, looking back on it to see how close they were.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't quite understand the antagonist's motivation, and
You
thought it
mean
was
the
weak.
Paladin?
Yeah,
Wasn't it like the Reavers in X-Men or whatever, where they basically he was hunting them down because they were magical powers or whatever?
yeah, but I don't know if that necessarily.
He didn't have magical powers, Samuel Jackson.
I know,
Huh?
I know. I just
Well, I guess the reason that I stated that was because I didn't know if you were saying you didn't understand his motivation because he had magic or something.
no, I don't understand why they. I really didn't understand what that conflict was.
It wasn't in the book. It was added.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I thought it was kind of weak. It was like,
And I think that's why they added it, though. I think they added it to get that whole Tommy Lee Jones feel, but only with Samuel Jackson.
well, that'd be fine if it made sense a little bit more.
Well, I thought it was all right anyway, but uh, if you think about it in terms of they just wanted a character that could pull off that Tommy Lee Jones apathy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really feel like the Paladin was overjoyed at what he was doing. You know what I mean? I don't know. I have to look it up. I haven't watched that movie in a long, long time, but my general impressions were that the Paladin, because the Paladin is a religious knight,
Yeah.
and like the original Paladins were Charlemagne. It was Charlemagne's knights. But the idea is that they were warriors of God, and so if you think that anyone that uses magic is evil, the devil, because that's kind of the way it's represented in the Bible. Anyone that has familiar spirits or cast spells or whatever, then it kind of makes sense on that level that he's hunting down what he believes to be evil. I don't know if there's something in there that I'm missing that you're seeing.
Well, it's a genetic trait, so therefore you have this religious nut going around saying that there's a group of people who are inherently evil.
Well, the people that are possessed, according to science, aren't possessed, right? They're DID or something like that. They can't be possessed. It has to be some kind of disorder. So I could see how he's saying that that hereditary shit might just be because your dad made a deal with the devil.
Yeah, I still think it's a weak justification.
Okay, so you think that's a weak justification?
Well, if they don't do anything, then again, what's so?
Suffer not a witch to live, not wait for the witch to do something and then kill her.
Well,
So
I guess that's.
I can understand that motivation. I'm just saying that is not a far-fetched motivation when that could possibly be your belief, right?
Okay. Well, it's cliched. It's overdone, and
It's cliche.
yeah, the religious nut that just hates you because of their religion. Yeah, that's pretty much cliched.
I
So,
didn't get he hated him. I got he hated what he was, which is not the same thing. But even so, if you have a strong religious conviction, what's the problem?
so
How many people worship multiple gods in fucking fantasy nowadays? You say that's cliche? Like, I don't want to. All right, so that sounds like it's starting a fight. I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm just saying that I didn't think it was presented in a cliche way.
okay. Well,
It didn't strike me the same way as it struck you. I thought it was actually I liked the idea and thought it was good, and wished I could play off the idea of paladins. But I felt like if I tried to play off the idea of paladins, then it would be pretty much just would be people would be saying, "Oh, you just ripped that movie off," and that wasn't what I was thinking. I thought paladins could be really cool. You could have if they were good guys instead of bad guys. I guess you could have really cool dark fantasy. I don't know. I remember liking the idea a lot, and I guess because I remember liking the idea a lot, and even I can think a lot about how that idea would be pretty cool. It could be done pretty cool nowadays. Of course, I'm thinking writing. Then that might be like my prejudice is because I was like, oh yeah, I really like that idea. I didn't expect that you were going to tell me you didn't like the movie after bringing it up. But
well, I enjoyed the film overall. I just thought it was weak with that aspect of it. And I felt like the antagonist's ire does not feel earned by the protagonist. The protagonist has earned the paladin's hatred simply by being born, and that to me is not that great of a motivation. Not if you want me to think that I don't know. It seems very one-dimensional to me. If they had shown a jumper doing something, I mean, think of it this way: the paladins want to kill the jumpers, and the worst they show the jumpers doing is stealing. So why aren't they going out and killing anyone who steals? Well,
Griffin is Griffin is the bad guy, really, as far as the jumpers go, and there is a second and third whatever book
Yeah.
with Griffin, which is the bad jumper. They might have, used that Griffin being a jumper or the paladin just to break up Griffin, killing him, just to give it a less than 2 hour reason for him not to be dying by somebody who's an experienced jumper wanting to kill him.
Yeah.
Griffin didn't have a strong motivation either.
See, that's what I would say is. I mean, I like. Uh,
I guess it was just for me. It was like, here's the rules.
yeah. See, I think the rules are interesting. I would say the rules are interesting of that world, but the characters themselves weren't, or not as interesting as they could be. And so, if you could take the same rules, but make the characters better, I think you'd have a much better product.
2008.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I didn't know when it came out.
I did not see that one in theaters. I was too poor at the time.
I think I did, actually. I may not have, but I think I might have.
At that point, I'm pretty certain I was couch surfing, and yeah, not having fun.
Interestingly, it's related to a bunch of movies that people also search for that either I didn't like or they were bad representations of the source material. And they had a jumper too. I don't know if I saw that.
I did not. I didn't know anything about that.
Hayden Christensen, Samuel Jackson. I might have. I Am Number 4. I didn't think that was a really good movie. It's not even memorable. Push wasn't all that memorable. I didn't watch Hancock.
Oh, really?
Mortal Engines. I loved the book. Didn't like the movie so much. But I felt the movie was trying to be a steampunk Star Wars instead of being what the book was. I didn't see Chaos Walking. Didn't see Time Jumpers. I don't even know what the hell that is.
Well, I would recommend Hancock overall. You haven't seen it.
I saw Chronicle. I think it didn't. I didn't think that was super memorable.
Chronicle? No, Chronicle's good.
Didn't see Bloodshot, but I thought about seeing Bloodshot.
Was that with
Yeah.
Vin Diesel in it?
Yeah. Well, it's based on a comic book, Bloodshot.
Yeah. I was making sure I had the right guy.
Yeah.
Chronicle's good.
I saw Babylon AD. It's basically Children of Men, more action-oriented, less realistic-oriented. I don't know if I saw The Fifth Wave. I saw Wanted. That's also based on a comic book. It looks like they're doing a whole lot of related movies that are based on comic books. Remake of Race to Mitch Mountain. Independence Day Resurrection? Resurrection. The Tomorrow War. You see that?
I don't know.
I didn't make it all the way through. I think I saw like the first episode. I might go back and watch it at some point. That's Chris Pratt, where
I saw that. Yeah,
they come back in time to get volunteers to fight the war.
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, because eventually, at some point in time, they realize it's his daughter and that he's talking to, and yeah, whatever. I mean, it was okay. I just
Well, it's kind of what I'm saying is all the stuff that I see that's related to it are movies that were really not memorable or never interested me in the first place or whatever. I don't know. I watch some trailers and it's like not even interested. It used to be for a while, like you watch a trailer and every interesting part of the movie was in the trailer.
yeah.
So I guess I'm glad that's not happening, but at the same time, they're kind of trying to. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with trailers because it feels like they're telling me a story that isn't really what they're telling for a story anymore. Like I go to see it and I'm like, that's not what I thought it was supposed to be about. You know, that's the whole purpose of the trailer, right?
Well, that's what I mean. That's one of the complaints. One of the bigger complaints about Marvel is that they put out trailers that show one thing, but in all reality, it's something like the Hawkeye show on Disney Plus. Really wasn't about Hawkeye. It was about Kate Bishop.
Well, to be fair, Jeremy Renner had that big accident just after they started doing the show. So
I don't know if that timeline lines up.
I don't know either, but it just seems to me that if that's the case, then that's understandable.
Okay, just remember November of 21.
November of 21 is what?
That's when the show came out. Yeah, and he had his accident in 23. So that was 2 years later.
Okay. Was it the first episode or the first season that went like that, or what?
There's only been one season, and it
I have
is.
no idea, dude. I don't watch this shit.
I'm just letting you know. There's one season.
Yeah, I know. When you say it, you're like, there's only been one season. Well, how the fuck do I know? I don't watch that show. I don't watch any of Disney stuff.
Well, there's only the one, and then Secret Wars. What? No, Alien. What the Scroll Wars? Whatever the hell it was. Scroll invasion stuff that was going on with the Samuel L. Jackson's character. God bless. I cannot think of it. Anyway, that was terrible.
Nick Fury?
Yeah. You know, what was supposed to be the Nick Fury show was something else and stupid. And they ruined a bunch of that. Feels like to me like a lot of the stuff that's going on with Disney, with Star Wars and Marvel, is that what started off as people wanting to do these projects now you get people who feel like they're entitled to do these projects. And, before they had to try to make the audience actually care and want to see it. And the entitled people don't feel like they have to do that. Again, I still don't understand what makes Leslie Headland qualified to have her own Star Wars show. I mean, one could argue the Acolyte shows she's not qualified.
Ironically, I don't know who that is.
Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant. That's her claim.
That means nothing to me. I don't keep up on that shit. I don't care.
Do you know who Harvey Weinstein is?
Yeah.
You know how he got arrested and convicted, although that's been appealed. The whole Me Too.
In one place. Yeah, it's been appealed in one place.
Yeah. So, all the things about the casting couch. And here's this woman who, the idea that your personal assistant didn't know what was going on seems a little sus. And then she's going to be this big, she gets this project. It's just like, really? And you know how John Brown talks about zing? I just think that the zing that the audience had or would find interesting is not the zing that Leslie Headland sees as interesting. Which is not to say that she's not, she can find whatever she wants interesting. I don't care. But if you're making a product like that, you kind of should be going into. That's why I don't like it when they don't hire. They hire these people that aren't really fans. It's like, well, then what excites you about this project other than the paycheck? Other than you get to force your message to people, or try to force it on them. Like, you're not here because you care about the material or find a connection with the audience. So that's problematic. And some of that stuff, I mean, it is not cut and dried on some of the political stuff with, that publication you put in Slack, right? You're like, a gay character should have a reason for being gay. I don't know, straight people don't have a reason for being straight. But I understand the mentality. I really do. Like, why are you making this person gay? Feels like you're pushing something every time you do that. And I don't know how to get around that. In all reality, your characters should be your characters, and then if you have real equality, then having a gay character should be as consequential or inconsequential as having a straight character.
Yeah, but a gay character, just for the fact that he's gay, they don't have any character, is not the same as having a reason to be gay. It's having a reason to be a character.
All right, that works.
At least that is my understanding. If you're talking about what I was talking about earlier, I may have misworded it, but my understanding was to not write a character just to be gay, but if you're writing a character, write a character to be a strong character. It doesn't matter what he is or she is. We were saying it doesn't matter if they're black, white, purple, yellow, whatever. just write them to be realistic. You know, like there's a reason that this character is in the story, not that they're gay, right?
Right.
And it's a whole different thing. No, they don't have to have a reason to be straight or gay, but they have to have a reason to be in the story other than they are straight or gay. Well, these are like token straight people or token gay people. That's gonna not interest me in the least bit in reading. I've read stuff like from some of the authors that I really like to read that didn't feel like they had a reason to do gay stuff except for to claim that they're gay. And then there are other characters in some of those authors' stuff where they're not necessarily gay, but they, like one of them put it, when you're in deep space and you're, what the hell do they call that? You sneak on a spaceship and or sneak on a ship. Yeah, it's a stowaway. That is what I was thinking. Like when you're a stowaway, you can get pretty lonely, and sometimes they'll sleep with anybody. Well, that's a definite different mentality. That illustrates a character, but like I've read that in some of the stuff that I've read. Do I like it? Not necessarily, because the character wasn't like that before. Just all of a sudden was like that for no particular reason. But I've also, just brushed that aside, read that, and then moved on. But it also doesn't fill the whole story. You know what I mean? It's like that's a small part of it and of a larger story, which also to me has a different feel. I think, like we were talking about, why does sex have to be in the story, right? And if sex doesn't have to be in the story, why do we need to know if they're straight or gay? I mean, I'm not saying that there's no possible reasons that for that, but I'm saying that if we're not really writing about sex or sexual escapades or whatever, then We don't even have to know. I mean, if somebody's going to die and they're thinking of their, you know, other half or whatever you want to call them, whether they're married or just dating or whatever, that's one thing also, right? That's a valid reason for that to be brought up. But like in Star Wars, you watch the first Star Wars, the only sexual whatever, not even sexual, is the interest is Han and Leia. That's it. You don't have a whole lot of, like he was talking about. George Lucas was also talking about people saying that he didn't have a diverse enough cast, or that there weren't enough black people in it. There weren't enough women in it. There weren't enough women in strong places. And he's like, "What do you mean? Leia and Amidala were pretty much the ones running the rebellions."
Yeah. Well, again, that goes back to I always go back to Ocean's 8 because it pisses me off. They decided to have an all-female team. Okay, and I really don't mind that. I think that could have been an interesting story. I think it would have been neat to see a feminine heist. You're not going in there and doing it the same way the guys do it because you have different skills. You have different abilities. Like, you have different strengths.
Someone's going to hate me for this, but when you said feminine heist, mine went feminine hygiene.
Oh.
I guess it's the H.
I'm just saying, it's one of those things where, ignoring the fact that movie lies to the audience, because it lies. Oh, I cannot stand movies that lie. It's like, oh. Anyway. Ugh. But, it could have been cool. If you think about, Catwoman is an amazing character. All right, so it's kind of like a team of Catwomen. Or it could have been. Each with their own little specialties, but it could have been neat. It really could have been. And it doesn't have to be anti-man, and it doesn't have to be, feminazi-ish, and they didn't go really too far into any of that. But overall, it still felt like you could have switched out guys. Would have been in fact, the part that they lie about is the fact that it's an all-female team, because it's not. And quite frankly, the whole heist is really done by a guy. That's the part that just drives me up the wall. I'm like, you guys said it was going to be one thing. You did not deliver at all. And the banter is not as good as what I liked it between George Clooney and Brad Pitt and Matt Damon. Well, it's just not as good overall for any of them. The banter from Ocean's movies is actually one of the reasons why you should watch it. It's just got so many good parts. To this day, my wife and I, you've seen Ocean's 11, right?
No.
Oh.
Oh, wait a minute. That's the first one?
Yes.
Yes.
So there's the scene where they finally get into the vault, and the Asian guy's there, and he's supposed to say, where the F have you been? And instead he just says, well, fuck you been? And ever since, my wife and I hardly ever say, where have you been? Now it's just, well, fuck you been? So, it's one of those quotes that, I'm your Huckleberry. It just sticks with you.
Yeah, I think, and I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that movie, and the problem that I got with like Ghostbusters as women is because there's no reason for it to be an all woman team except for it to be an all woman team.
Right.
Like it could have been integrated with the original Ghostbusters because there's an original Ghostbusters. If they were a separate unit working for the original Ghostbusters, then that would make sense as well. But I just it doesn't make sense to me. Now, as far as like, and this is why I say women shouldn't be when you're looking at history, especially women should not be equal to men as far as positions, like what they were, because they were not. There were rare women generals, and there were rare, women in charge of things that men normally were. But it wasn't really all that common, because if it was all that common, it wouldn't have been special in the first place. But what people are missing from that when they just don't listen to the overall is that women have different because of that, because men were always generals and men were always the fighters and men were always this stuff. Women were able to develop subtleties and different strengths and different abilities that aren't represented. They it's like they don't want to say that the husbands were in control. Well, the husbands appeared to be in control, but a lot of that control was women controlling them, like through their stomach, through their private parts, through their bank account, because a lot of women were left to pay bills and sort that stuff out while guys are off for months and years in battle and whatever. And the strengths that women develop, this is coming back to something more. When you talk about a heist, why would they approach it the same way as a guy would approach it?
Exactly.
Why would they plan it the same way as a guy would plan it? Because women tend to look at things differently than guys. They tend to have concepts different than guys, and sometimes that very fact is what guys overlook. You know what I mean? They don't think, like, say, if I'm playing Wordle and all of a sudden the word is dusty or something, I'm not thinking dusty. There's a certain kind of flower or whatever. Flower. Those are words more thought to be feminine. But that's why guys get stumped like that, because they're not thinking of things that are feminine. Whereas a lot of women are thinking of things that are feminine and guy oriented, because that is pretty much, I think, passed down from generation to generation over the course of time. It's no insult to women. Women, it's actually the opposite. They're like the king makers. They're the ones in control. They're the ones that are in secret. A team of women pulling off a heist, I can imagine it in a whole different way than a guy could ever try to pull off.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It could have been awesome. It's basically men in dresses.
Right. And that's exactly what I'm saying, though, right? That they don't play up, because the reason that they don't play up is that they don't insult women by saying that women women are just women. They can do whatever a guy can do too. So
I think
they
we're
don't
seeing
have to
more.
do. They don't have to do whatever a guy can do. They shouldn't have to do whatever a guy can do. That really kind of weakens what a woman could do.
More and more we are seeing, though. I mean, you don't see women getting Man of the Year, but you do see men getting Women of the Year. You see, you don't see.
I wasn't trying to touch that subject though. Like I was just trying to put it in a way where these people that are trying to what they're trying to do by replacing men with women in roles, or say that a woman can do anything a guy can do. But the thing is that a woman wouldn't do everything a guy can do, and they miss that. You were showing something and I missed it. Like I just caught it out the corner of my eye.
Oh, it's just a stuffed platypus.
I actually like this pencil better than the other pencil because I don't know what's going on for lead in the other pencil. This one it seems to be working for me, doing what I want. But I don't know how well it picks it up on screen though.
That's one of those. So that short story that I'm working on right now, I made a conscious decision that it was going to be male-centered.
You did?
Yeah, a little bit.
Wait a minute. What did you say? What centered?
Female.
Yeah, I didn't pick up the fee part. I thought you said male-centered, and that's why I was
no, absolutely not.
That's what I was saying. Like I thought you were saying completely the opposite when we talked.
But I mean, that presents challenges. Like, there's a threat, and I think in a typical male-centered story, they'd fight, and that would be the end of it. I mean, that was just. But here I have it. I'm like, no, physically you are weaker. Like, and I've heightened the antagonist's physical abilities because I want them to be. I wanted it to be where no, this is not something that will be solved in a traditionally masculine way. I was like, no, I want this. And it's. I don't know how successful I'm going to be, but I'm definitely trying to make sure that they solve the problem the way I think a group of women, even if they are powerful, because they are, these are witches.
Define power.
Exactly. And that's, I'm just saying they are strong, competent women who have their own, each has their own kind of specialty, and, they all have their own skills, and it's those skills and their perspective that I want to be what solves the problem, not brute strength, not just force of will. It's a problem to be solved in a way that's respectful, I think, of everyone that's in the group. I hope that's what I'm going for. But it's kind of that Ocean's 8 thing again. I was like, this would be kind of an interesting. I've seen stuff where it's like female, all female posses, and they make all the women like the most amazing shots and all this stuff.
Yeah, right. Like, what is that? Winona.
Earp?
Huh?
Is it Winona Earp?
Yeah. She ends up like being a vampire hunter or some shit.
Something. And don't get me wrong, they had like Annie Oakley and Calamity Jane, and there were some women.
Yeah, but they weren't necessarily what they were built up to be either.
Oh, I agree. But it's one of those. I was like, no, I don't want it to just be, that the woman can do it too. It's just this is how a woman would handle it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I'm actually trying to do that myself with this new opening
yeah,
because I introduced a female character first. It's a female villain, but still, I'm trying to introduce her in a way that can't just be switched with male.
right. Like you want to have it, which is kind of funny because I would argue that you and I would probably be considered to be center or center right. But we are definitely not left.
Right. Well, because the left has been. Okay, so I stop right there. It's not because of the left, but the left has been driven to the right quite a bit from what they were. But
Well, the
my
left has moved
stance,
so far left that it's a lot easier to be right of them.
right? Well, they moved so far left that the regular left is no longer there.
Right.
They've way gone past them. So because they've gone so far out, they've put the other left in a place where they can't be in the left anymore.
Right.
Shit.
When you want to make Joe Rogan out to be an alt-right villain, I'm pretty certain your political movement has skewed a tad bit left. But
Tad bit. But
yeah,
like I was saying, like I'm the only thing I was gonna say about that is that I wouldn't think of myself as centrist right. What I keep saying is I'm libertarian leaning because I like the idea of the non-aggressive principle,
yeah,
which basically means I won't fuck with you if you don't fuck with me,
right.
and small government. But there are a lot of places that I go astray from that party as well. So, but if I was the closest I am to any one party, I think is that I'm a lot more Christian than a lot of libertarians are.
Well, so I'll come back to this in a second, but I'm just saying that I think that you and I are both we're looking to explore authentic human conditions, and we would be painted as I'm sure homophobic, misogynistic, racist, because we're not as far left as what other people are, and yet we're trying to really explore and see, provide a true, authentic experience to the reader. And I don't know if the left really understands that. It's kind of funny that they would call us, none of the characters that I'm currently working on offend me. Like, I don't agree with what they choose or what they wouldn't choose, but I'm not offended by it. And
yeah, I don't agree with the term homophobic. It's just meant to demean somebody that doesn't agree with what your goals are.
Yeah.
Someone that finds something disgusting doesn't mean that they fear it.
Right.
Now, like if somebody that is appalled by something, that doesn't mean that they're afraid of it. That's not phobia.
Right.
Phobia is when you're literally afraid of it.
And I think,
I think that it's a misnomer. It's intended to be a misnomer to divide.
well, I saw a wonderful definition of libertarianism. Because it said you can take pretty much any political issue. So let's just take abortion. Okay? If you think that abortion should be legal and that then you can still be a libertarian. But if you think the government should pay for it, you're a Democrat.
You're a what? Oh yeah.
And they're like, and you can be libertarian and think that abortion should be completely illegal. And if you want to, punish people for getting it, you're a Republican. But if you just think that, yeah, I'd like to see it made illegal, or I would not do it, and I don't think you should do it, but,
So yeah, like I can't get an abortion. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the libertarian position is primarily, I don't want to force my ideas on anyone else, and I don't want anyone else's ideas forced on me.
Non-aggressive principle. I won't mess with you. I won't force stuff on you.
Right, which is why libertarians should have a bigger tent, because really it should be like, but, I guess I don't know. I guess I shouldn't say that, but,
It's a division of the right because it's closer to conservatism, because conservatism isn't religion. It's the difference between conservative and liberal that most people don't understand is, or they just willfully ignore, is that conservative is to be as conservative to the Constitution as possible, to keep as close to the wording and intent of the original Constitution as possible. And the liberals want to be as liberal defining that Constitution as they can get away with. That's the reason that libertarians are lumped in with conservatives, is because they don't want big government, but we have a constitution, we have a system, and that's what we should be going by. So it's one thing that most people don't look at. They look at it, the cause of the day or the social interest of today versus then or whatever. What they don't understand is that no matter when you look at it over time, there were always social conditions that were different. Things that they wouldn't accept today, that same party were, proffering back in those days. The 1800s, horrible if you look at the Democrats. There are examples that are not, right?
Right.
It's like Lincoln was the first Republican. Because it was the Whig Party before that. And that was the third party. And that's, as far as I know, that's the only time that we've elected a president from a third party, and then one of the other parties disappeared and kind of folded into that party. I'm probably oversimplifying it, but I do know that is what is meant by liberal and what is meant by conservative is how close they keep to the original meaning and the original wording of the Constitution. Did your sound go, or you're like, I'm not talking anymore?
None of my sound's not gone, and I just had nothing to say. I was listening to you.
That's your first problem.
Oh, I was listening to you?
Yeah.
My bad.
Nobody should listen to me. I don't know anything. I've discovered that all the information that I have is completely useless in the real world. Just, those are the things I'm right about.
Yep.
If it doesn't matter, you don't care about it, I'm probably interested in it and know something about it.
What?
I think actually this panel is pretty close to done.
Okay.
Um, we don't have to go if you don't want to, but it's 11 and it's early for us. But we were kind of cutting it shorter.
Yeah.
I don't know, if you got plans or
I
probably
don't- Oh, I'm not going to turn into a pumpkin yet, but I will say this: so I've been tired all day, and I don't know why. And if you're good to call it, I'm going to say, okay, let's call it. And
Well, I guess honestly, I like this panel. I don't want to overwork it and screw the panel up.
that makes sense.
But I also I'm working on a novel project, and I don't think I can do anything much more than maybe darken some stuff up. So I'm doing, going a pass over here and pass over there to solidify it. So I don't know what you guys can see. Like I've heard people say that they can't see anything, and then I've heard you say, "Oh yeah, you can." So like I don't know.
Well, I also have a
I want
relatively
people-
large screen, so-
I want people to be able to see it because that's the whole point, right? But
right?
um,
I mean, she's dark. I can understand where up above he's very faint, whereas she's pretty dark.
yeah, he's way more of a placeholder. That's why I said I'm gonna end up going through and then focusing on him next through all the panels.
But I mean, I can see her, especially in the second panel, because she's not looking over her shoulder and not looking into her hood. So, yeah. But anyway,
Yeah. Well, there you go. So panel number 2 is done finally. So yeah, we're almost caught up to the splash page. There's only one more page. One more panel and then one more page. And the one panel I know it's gonna be I know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be this. So it's very slight on the background because they are going to take up most of the background and it's going to be an upshot. So it's ceiling stuff that you see, which will be here. Just to let everybody know, I do really have a game plan. I didn't like the kissing panel because they're never going to actually kiss. That's the point. That it's just before, right?
yeah.
So, or at least that's the way that I've been focusing on it in my head. I think, like I was saying, that most comic books, the first thing you focus on is the hands and the face. So I'm trying to be expressive with the hands as I am with the faces. And this panel is just one hand and a part of the face. But I think that the expressions are there, and I think you know what's going on from there. In this hand, she doesn't look as excited or whatever as anything else, but I think that's going to work with what it's building up to be, right?
Yeah.
So The next panel is them as a couple, pretty much, for a second that they are. And then, yeah, the next page, I might even rethink it because, like, I rethought this page and I think it's stronger because of it.
Okay.
I rethought the first page and it was stronger because of it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a little bit, we're tweaking it a little bit as we go and getting stronger. But I thought a lot about, I want to focus on them as far as the detail goes, her and him. That way, when you see them first in the first panel, both of them are the most detailed characters, so your eyes will be drawn to them. And then the other ones, remember when I was talking about backgrounds get thinner lines, and it's all about line weight. So I thought it would be interesting to show them, show their movements because they are a little bit more in focus, I guess. A little bit more detailed, a little bit more focused, a little bit more darker in the foreground and shade, and everyone else's, it's just movement and stuff around them, which is what it's meant to be. There was no specific characters. I got this one character, that I'm kind of popping up like Where's Waldo in all the panels that I can with them, but I think it will be an interesting tie-in when we do this big splash page, the double page.
Yeah.
Because I have got a certain number of characters now that if I put them in, I've got something to refer back to when I put them in, and it will feel like it's still self-included, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even though everything might change the next panel after that, but all right. So for everyone that watched and liked and subscribed, and this is the second start. I think I saw two viewers at one point. I don't know how that works. I'll let you know the stats after. But everyone that watched, everyone that liked, everyone that followed, everyone that what's the other one? Subscribed. Thank you. Everyone that talked in the comments, which is nobody. Thank you very much. Anyway, thank you. Good night. God bless. Much love.
Peace.
Love you more. Love you.